Hey guys, and the other day I was rewatching the legendary street racing anime Initial D, and one race that has always captured my attention was the duct tape deathmatch. So in the world of Initial D, a duct tape deathmatch is where both drivers have their right hand duct taped to the steering wheel, making it way more difficult to make your way around sharp hairpins and most right hand turns in general. So for a good old stupid video idea, I decided to try and replicate that scene by doing exactly that in Project Cars 2, for a race through the California highway circuit, which isn't exactly Mount Arcana, but it's close enough. And also, just a random thing, if you've never heard of Initial D, you've probably heard at least some of the music from it, such as... And... So without further ado, let's begin! So here we are then, on the starting grid, in an 8.6, not quite the same 8.6 they're using Initial D, but... close enough, no one will notice, as we get away off the line, right behind an identical 8.6 in front, and immediately I noticed left-hand turns, not too bad, but any turn involving going right was pretty much suicide for my wrist, especially this hairpin coming up now as we chase the car in front, coming around this shallow right-hander into this hairpin, and my turning circle was literally just non-existent. I mean, I was breaking my wrist, leaning off the chair, trying to get around that corner there, as we now try and pull back that gap on the car in front. Now coming into another hairpin, this time a sharp left-hander. As we come into here now, I'm not sure when to brake, not helped by the fact I don't have the map on, can't see what's ahead of me, and I don't know this route particularly well, but that's also why I turned down the AI's difficulty for other obvious reasons, as we now skip ahead to this winding, narrow part of the circuit, coming around this mountain path now. Not far behind the car in front, still want to close that gap now, and a bit of an oversight that I didn't realise till I started is that I was planning to use the handbrake to get around some of these tighter corners, but then I realised it was mapped to the B button, which I need my right hand for, so of course that's completely useless, but regardless, still keeping a solid gap to the car in front, and also braking in places I shouldn't. I completely forgot how this route goes, so my bad for that as we try and get closer and closer. Again, really hard to get around these right-handers. It's so difficult to get my right hand to move around the steering wheel as we get alongside them now and up the inside, coming into this sharp left-hander and up into the race lead now as we continue the charge and try and get away, trying to break away from the other car. Now coming into this little chicane here, hugging up to the apex of the corner, trying to get a good run out of there, trying to maximise our speed through these tight little corners, and now coming into this hill and getting a bit of air jumping over the hill there. Probably not the smartest idea, to be fair, taking way too much speed and smacking into the barriers on the outside. As we now try and continue the charge, a bit of oversteer there, really hard to keep this car stable. I mean, as you can imagine, no stability control, no traction control, no ABS, nothing. So it is really tricky, especially with the power this thing has, this tuned GT86. As we continue going on now into this left-hander, and if I remember correctly, this part is really sharp and really hard to get right. As we come around here, just barely making it around there. The understeer is terrible when we're going around right-hand corners. As we now continue going, I think there's a hairpin coming up now. As we come into this braking zone, another right-hander, left into right, as we make our way through here now. As the car behind, right on our back bumper now, going to want to open up that gap, break away from the car behind. As we come into this hairpin now, what I was fearing, and rightfully so, as my turning circle was absolutely abysmal. I mean, I'm literally going like 2 miles an hour there, almost stalling the car coming out the exit there. And they, of course, get a much better exit, storming down on the inside. As we now skip ahead, and the car in front breaking over that little jump in the road there, getting closer and closer, and side by side the golden 8.6 on the right now. Side by side coming into this hairpin, trying to make a move, but they cover me off on the outside, getting a much better exit than we do as we come onto this short straight before the next set of corners. Now that's our chance to get closer and closer now, as we now skip ahead a bit later on, and as you can see, the sun setting beyond the horizon, the reds and the pinks from the sky coming out from beyond the sea, as we now turn on our lights on our 8.6. Big gap to the car in front now, I want to close that down on this long, fast section here. Not a hairpin in sight, just these long flowing corners feeding into one another. Getting closer to the car in front now, using all the horsepower in our car. As we come into another tunnel section now, this long left-hander. As we now continue getting closer and closer to the other car in front. Continuing to close that gap down slowly but surely as we come onto another long fast section here, and as you can see the sun has completely descended upon the horizon, completely pitch black out here until we get out of this tunnel, that is, as we now try and claw back some time on the car in front coming down this straight. as we come into this right hand, and I'm misjudging the braking zone completely coming into here, and in true initial D fashion, controlling the oversteer into a drift, barely avoiding the guardrails behind us, as we now get closer and closer, and cherry on top of the cake, going down the inside, and taking first place as we go on to this final section here at the California Highway track. And now it's our job to maintain and open up that gap to the car behind as we come through this left-hander, trying to control the oversteer through there. As I said before, this car is incredibly sensitive, but that's what makes it so fun to drive. Manual, no stability control, no traction control. Yes please, that sounds like a car for me as we go round this long fast motorway section, much wider than any other point on the track as we switch to the right hand side of the road now. Now looking to the car behind as we have a little look there. Nothing to be concerned about, having opened up a massive gap to the car behind, as it should be a smooth sailing from here on out. Should be getting towards the finish now, not long to go before the end of this route. And just like that, we take the checkered flag to win the race from the other car. And I gotta say, this really did hurt my hand quite a lot actually. On my wrist in particular, trying to get around those sharp corners, it really was hard to, I was literally leaning off the chair, trying to put all my body weight into just turning the steering wheel, which sounds a bit crazy, but that's what I had to do. And I would recommend this challenge if you are equally as stupid as I am. But anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to subscribe, comment, share, and I'll be back in the next video. See ya!